Most people do not fail because they are lazy. They fail because they are exhausted. Exhausted from restarting. Most people have restarted the same habits so many times. Their brain now expects failure before they even begin, so every new promise feels familiar. Read more. Wake up earlier. Work out consistently. Meditate. Journal. Drink more water. Start over Monday. Then Monday comes, and somehow, nothing changes. Not permanently. So eventually, the problem stops feeling like the habit and starts feeling like you. Like maybe you are just not disciplined enough, not focused enough, not consistent enough. And if that's true, then no productivity system should work for you. But Atomic Habits became one of the most influential self-improvement books in the world because James Clear understood something most people miss. Human beings do not change through intensity, they change through systems, and systems work very differently than motivation. There is one number in this book that changed millions of people: 37.78. That is what happens if you improve by just 1% every day for 1 year. Not 10%, not transformation overnight, 1%, repeated long enough, becomes unrecognizable change. But there is another hidden mechanism underneath all of this, and it explains why most people quit before the results ever become visible. The biggest misunderstanding in self-improvement is that people expect progress to feel dramatic. They expect momentum, excitement, visible rewards, but real change is usually invisible at first. That is why habits are psychologically brutal. You go to the gym for 2 weeks, nothing changes. You read every night for 1 month, nothing changes. So your brain makes a conclusion: this is not working. But the problem was never the habit. The problem was your timeline. Think of it like this. A plane flying from New York to Los Angeles adjusts its nose by just a few degrees, almost nothing. But over enough distance, it lands in an entirely different country. That is what small habits do. Tiny changes, repeated long enough, become completely different lives. James Clear explains this another way using an ice cube. Imagine an ice cube sitting in a freezing room, 25 degrees, nothing, 26, nothing, 27, still nothing, 28, 29, nothing. Then the room reaches 30 degrees, and suddenly the ice melts. But the melting did not begin at 30. It had been building the entire time. James Clear calls this the valley of disappointment. The phase where effort feels invisible, where you work hard and emotionally feel nothing. Most people quit here, right before the visible result arrives. Most self-improvement advice tells people to rely on willpower. That sounds motivating, but it is usually terrible advice. Because environment shapes behavior far more than motivation does. A visible phone creates scrolling. A cluttered room creates distraction. A book placed on your pillow creates reading. Human beings are deeply environmental creatures. Most people touch their phone thousands of times every week without consciously deciding to. That is not discipline failing. That is environment winning. James Clear calls this environment design. Make good habits obvious. Make bad habits invisible, not because it makes change easier, because it makes change automatic. This is one of the most important hidden mechanisms in modern life. Most of your daily behavior is not consciously chosen, it is triggered. And once you understand that, you stop seeing yourself as broken and start seeing yourself as programmable. But the deepest idea in Atomic Habits has nothing to do with productivity. It has to do with identity. James Clear says every habit operates on 3 levels: outcome, process, identity. Most people focus on outcomes. I want to lose weight. I want to wake up early. I want to become successful. Some focus on process. I will work out 4 times a week. But very few people focus on identity, and identity is the level that changes behavior permanently. Because once you believe something about yourself, your brain starts protecting that identity automatically. A smoker struggles to quit. A non-smoker simply does not smoke. A person trying to become disciplined fights resistance. A disciplined person protects their standards. That is why James Clear says, every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. That sounds motivational, but it is actually neurological. Every time you do the habit, you give yourself a tiny piece of proof. Proof that you're a reader. Proof that you're a writer. Proof that you're someone who follows through. And eventually, that proof becomes your identity. Now here is the hidden mechanism most people never talk about. The reason most people fail at habits is not laziness, it is accumulated shame. After enough failed attempts, you stop trusting yourself. Every unfinished habit tracker, every abandoned morning routine, every promise you make and break starts to feel like proof. Eventually, the brain starts expecting failure automatically. That voice saying, "You always quit. This never lasts. That's not who you are." That voice feels logical, but it is not logic. It is disappointment repeated long enough to become identity. And once that identity forms, self-improvement stops feeling exciting and starts feeling humiliating. Let me show you how this actually works in real life. For months, I kept restarting a reading habit. Every Sunday night, I would tell myself, this week, I'll read every day. And every Friday, I had read nothing. Not because I was lazy, because the system was terrible. So I changed the environment instead. I stopped leaving the book on my shelf. I put it on my pillow, not beside the bed, on the pillow itself. Then I used habit stacking. After making coffee, I read 1 page. That was the rule, not 1 chapter, 1 page. No dramatic transformation, no motivational breakthrough, just 1 page, repeated long enough. 6 months later, I had finished 14 books. Not because I became more disciplined, because I stopped fighting my brain and started designing my environment. That is why one of the most important ideas in Atomic Habits is, never miss twice. 1 missed day is human, 2 missed days becomes a pattern. And your brain learns patterns faster than intentions. That means habits are not really training behavior, they are training trust. Every time you come back after failing, you cast another vote, not for perfection, for believing in yourself again. So here is what I want you to remember. You are probably not failing because you are weak. You are failing because modern life trains inconsistency. Your phone trains distraction. Social media trains short attention spans. Your environment trains bad habits. And your past failures train you to expect failure. Atomic Habits matters because it offers a way out, not through motivation, through systems, small actions, repeated long enough until your identity changes. Until the evidence becomes impossible to ignore, until the person you wanted to become starts feeling normal. So tonight, stop trying to change your entire life. Do something smaller, something almost embarrassingly small. 1 page, 1 push-up, 1 walk. And when your brain says, "This is pointless," remember the ice cube. Remember 29 degrees. Remember that invisible progress is still progress. And most importantly, you are not broken. You just stopped too early. If this video connected with you, there are more hidden mechanisms on this channel. The invisible systems shaping modern life. Subscribe if you want to understand them. I will see you in the next one.